This is Stars in My Crown. Will there be any stars in my crown? When at evening the sun goes down, and though I lay myself in the mansion of rest, will there be any star in my crown? Little Tony had a temper. Yarg, he would scream when his grandma called him in from the playing in the jungle. Yarg, he would yell when he wrestled his older brother under the mango tree. Yarg, he would cry when his grandma tried to comb his hair. Little Tony lived with his grandmother and his brother Junior in a one-road village in a rainforest on a sunny tropical island called Trinidad. Despite his temper, little Tony was a happy boy. His life was full of adventure. He gleefully ran through the bush where parakeets called, fat snakes crawled, and coconut trees clattered in the breeze. He laughed as he chased Croco, the ugliest toads in the universe. And his favorite food was pylori, a delicious golden ball of dough, crunchy on the outside and warm on the inside. His favorite thing to do was to watch the bright stars twinkle in the night sky. But sooner or later, someone would do something he didn't like, and he'd have a tantrum. His face would scrunch up, his fist would clench, and his heart would pound. Little Tony always felt bad after he lost his temper, but he just couldn't help it. Yarg, he'd shout, and Grandma Exley would say, "Child, why are you so angry?" Little Tony adored Grandma Exley. She was always singing. She sang in the morning, she sang at night, and in between times she sang some more. Coming home from school, little Tony would hear her voice drifting on the wind and filling the air with sweetness. He would get there and hug her tightly and bury his face in her skirts, and he sang, as she sang, it sounded like home. Her favorite song was, "Will there be any stars in my crown? When at evening the sun goeth down." But what does your song mean, Grandma? It means that you can't always be angry. You need to be patient too. You have to put stars in your crown. Little Tony was confused. He was like, "A crown made of stars on my head?" "Yes, just like that," she said, smiling. "And patience is a star in your crown." "But why do I need stars in my crown?" he asked. And she said, "Because if you have stars in your crown, no matter where you are, you will always feel at home." Little Tony decided that patience would be the first star in his crown. His chance came when he lost to Junior at ping pong. Little Tony hated to lose. His face scrunched up, his fists clenched, his heart pounded. He was about to have a tantrum. And for 1 second that seemed to last forever, he remembered Grandma Exley's song. But then, can you guess what's gonna happen? Yar! Being patient was hard. One day, Junior and Little Tony found out they were moving to Canada with their Aunt Joan. At first, it was scary to think of leaving the only place in the galaxy that they knew. But then they thought, Canada? Canada? Canada! Canada was a magical place where people ate exotic fruits like apples and pears, and maple syrup poured out of trees. We want to go to Canada! When they landed in Canada, Little Tony was flabbergasted. The forest was so different. Shaggy moose stomped and brown bears grunted and pine trees shivered in the freezing wind. Gasped at the lakes full of muskies, the ugliest fish in the universe, and the only food he liked were pierogies, a fried pocket of potatoes, crispy and soft. People in Canada talk differently, and sometimes he couldn't even understand what they were saying. And there was snow, lots of snow, mountains of flakes of ice that fell from the sky and didn't melt. What? Who ever heard of snow? Who ever heard of ice that didn't melt? Little Tony hated it, and he missed the sounds of the jungle, where the parakeets called, the fat snakes crawled, and the coconut trees chattered in the breeze. He missed inhaling the sweet smell of caloric, crunchy on the outside and warm in the middle. He even missed the ugly toads. But most of all, he missed his grandma. That winter, Little Tony learned the curious Canadian pastime called ice skating. On his first try, he fell flat on his back and some of the other kids laughed. Little Tony's face scrunched up in his tooth, scrunched up under his tooth, his fist clenched in his mitten, his heart pounded. He knew he was about to have a tantrum. Then, for 1 second, it seemed to last forever, he remembered his Grandma Exley's song about stars and crowns, and he stopped. He unscrunched his face, he unclenched his fists, and turned away from the laughing kids. Soon, even his heart stopped pounding. He was still mad, and he missed his home, and he missed his grandmother more than ever, but he felt something else too. He felt strong and proud. He was standing a little taller. He had figured out how to be patient. As little Tony walked home that day, he heard Grandma Exley's voice in his mind. Will there be any stars in my crown? When at evening the sun goes down. And he hummed along. Little Tony looked up at the stars sparkling above him, and he realized that no matter how far away he felt from Trinidad or Grandma Exley, if he could remember her song, he could hold his head high and he would always feel at home. The end.